Emma Hayes had always been fascinated by her family history. It wasn't that she felt out of place, quite the opposite. She had grown up in a loving home with her parents, Mark and Linda, and her younger brother, Josh. Their suburban life in Connecticut was peaceful, predictable, and built on routine. But when a friend mentioned an online DNA testing service, Emma's curiosity got the better of her. "It's just for fun," she told herself as she ordered the kit. Maybe she'd find a distant cousin or confirm her Irish heritage. It was harmless. When the results arrived 3 weeks later, she expected nothing more than a breakdown of percentages, some European ancestry, maybe a trace of something unexpected. Instead, what she saw made her blood run cold. Father, no match. Her hands trembled as she reread the report. This had to be a mistake. She checked the company's FAQ page, searching for explanations. Could there have been a lab mix-up? Could her dad have used a different testing service? But as she scrolled, the cold reality settled in. The test was accurate. The man she had called dad for 28 years was not biologically related to her. Her mother had lied. Emma spent the next few days in a daze, replaying memories of her childhood. Her father had always been there, teaching her to ride a bike, cheering her on at soccer games, helping her move into her first apartment. Nothing about their relationship felt fake. And yet the evidence was right there. The truth burned inside her until she couldn't keep it in anymore. She drove to her parents' house on a Sunday afternoon, her hands gripping the wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her mother greeted her with a warm smile. "Emma, this is a surprise. Everything okay?" Emma swallowed the lump in her throat. "I need to talk to you. Alone." Linda's smile faded as she glanced at Mark, who was watching TV in the living room. "Of course," she said softly. In the kitchen, Emma placed her phone on the counter, her heart hammering. "I took a DNA test." Her mother's face remained neutral. "Oh, what did it say?" Emma took a shaky breath. "It said Dad isn't my biological father." The color drained from Linda's face. She gripped the edge of the counter, her knuckles turning pale. "Emma, who is he?" Emma demanded. "Who is my real father?" Linda closed her eyes for a long moment, and when she opened them, they glistened with unshed tears. "It's complicated." Emma scoffed. "No, it's not. Either Dad is my father or he isn't. And this test says he isn't." Linda took a deep breath. "I never wanted you to find out this way." "So it's true." Emma's voice cracked. "Dad isn't my father?" Linda hesitated. "No, he isn't. But it's not what you think." Emma's stomach twisted. "Then explain it to me." Linda's hands trembled as she pulled out a chair and sat down. "Emma, the man who raised you, the man who loves you, will always be your father. But biologically, your father is someone else. And he's not who you think." Emma sat across from her mother, waiting. She had prepared for a confession of an affair, maybe a story of a fleeting mistake. What she heard instead shattered her world even more. "You were conceived through IVF," Linda admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Emma blinked. "What? Your father and I struggled to have kids. We went through years of treatments, and eventually we turned to in vitro fertilization. We used a sperm donor." Emma felt like the air had been knocked out of her lungs. "A donor?" Linda nodded. "We didn't want to tell you because we thought it didn't matter. Mark raised you. He loves you. You're his daughter in every way that counts." Emma's mind spun. "Why didn't you tell me?" Linda's eyes welled with tears. "We were afraid. We thought you'd feel different about him." "About us?" Emma clenched her jaw. "I had a right to know." Linda wiped at her eyes. "I know, and I'm sorry. But Emma, there's more." Emma's heart pounded. What else could there possibly be? Linda hesitated, then said, "Your donor, he wasn't just anyone. He was someone we knew." Emma's stomach twisted. "Who?" Her mother's lips parted, but she seemed unable to say it. "Who?" Emma demanded. Linda exhaled shakily. "His name was Peter Calloway." Emma's world tilted. "Peter Calloway? Dad's best friend." Linda nodded. The name hit her like a truck. Peter had been a close family friend for as long as she could remember. He had always been around at barbecues, birthday parties, holidays. She had never thought twice about it. Emma covered her mouth with her hands. "Does Dad know?" "No," Linda whispered. A sharp breath escaped Emma. "You lied to him too?" Tears rolled down Linda's cheeks. "We thought it was best. Mark always wanted to be your father. We thought what he didn't know wouldn't hurt him." Emma stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the tile floor. "I need to go." "Emma, please." But she was already out the door. Emma spent the next few days in turmoil. Should she tell her father? Could she? Mark Hayes was the best man she knew. He didn't deserve this. But he also didn't deserve to live a lie. One evening, she drove to his house. He answered the door with a warm smile. "Emma, come in." She hesitated, then stepped inside. "Dad, I need to talk to you." The concern on his face deepened. "What's wrong?" Emma took a shaky breath. "I took a DNA test." Mark frowned. "Okay." "It said you're not my biological father." His face went blank. "What?" Tears filled Emma's eyes. "Mom told me everything. About the IVF. About Peter." Mark staggered back slightly, gripping the edge of the couch. His face was ashen. "Peter?" Emma nodded, fresh tears spilling over. "I'm so sorry, Dad." For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then slowly, he exhaled. "I need to know for sure." Emma's heart clenched. "What do you mean?" "I need to take a test." Emma's stomach twisted. "Dad, you don't have to." "I do," he said firmly. "If there's one thing I need in my life right now, it's the truth." The test results arrived 2 weeks later. Emma sat beside her father as he opened the email. His hands shook. Emma leaned closer, her heart pounding. "What does it say?" Mark's face turned ghostly pale. Emma grabbed the tablet from his hands and read the results. Her breath caught in her throat. Parentage. No biological match to either listed parent. Emma's pulse roared in her ears. "No," she whispered. "That's not possible." Mark's voice was hoarse. "If I'm not your biological father, and your mother didn't carry you." They stared at each other, realization dawning. Emma wasn't just the daughter of another man. She wasn't their daughter at all. Somewhere in some lab, a mistake had been made. Somewhere out there, Emma's real parents were still unknown. Emma stared at the test results, her mind struggling to comprehend the impossible truth. The numbers, the percentages, the cold, undeniable science of it, none of it made sense. She wasn't just not her father's daughter. She wasn't her mother's either. Mark Hayes, the man who had raised her, was not her biological father. But now, in a cruel, almost absurd twist, the woman who had carried her, nurtured her, and held her as a newborn wasn't her biological mother either. A lab mistake. A switch. A horrifying, life-shattering accident buried beneath decades of secrecy. Emma could barely breathe. She turned to her father, Mark, the only father she had ever known, and saw the devastation on his face. His eyes, usually so full of warmth and wisdom, were hollow, staring at the screen as if it held a nightmare he couldn't wake from. Finally, he spoke. His voice was raw. I need to talk to your mother." Emma swallowed hard. She didn't know. Mark's head snapped toward her. "And how do you know that?" His voice was sharp, edged with something she had never heard before. Anger? Doubt? Emma shook her head. "I don't. But how could she?" "She was pregnant, Dad. She carried me." Mark let out a bitter laugh, but it held no humor. "Carried you, sure. But gave birth to you." He turned back to the results, reading them again, as if willing them to change. "If this is true, Emma, then the baby she carried wasn't you." The weight of that truth settled between them like a physical presence. Emma felt her stomach churn. "You think she knew?" Mark didn't answer. He simply stood up, grabbed his car keys, and walked out the door. Emma drove to her parents' house with a sense of foreboding pressing down on her chest. When she arrived, she found the front door already open. Inside, Mark was pacing, his face pale with anger. Linda sat on the couch, her expression unreadable, hands folded in her lap. Emma stepped inside hesitantly. "Mom." Linda lifted her head slowly, her eyes red-rimmed. She looked tired, older than she had just days before. Mark turned to Emma. "She says she doesn't believe it." Emma's gaze snapped to her mother. "You don't believe the test?" Linda's voice trembled. "I know what I lived through. I know I gave birth to you." Mark scoffed. "The science says otherwise, Linda." Tears welled in Linda's eyes. "Then the science is wrong." Emma sat beside her. "Mom, what if it's not wrong?" Linda turned to her, pleading. "Emma, I carried you. I felt your kicks, your heartbeat. I went through 20 hours of labor to bring you into this world." Her voice cracked. "You are mine." Emma's heart ached. "Mom, what if the hospital made a mistake?" Linda shook her head violently. No, that's impossible." Mark's voice was cold. "Is it?" A heavy silence fell over the room. Then Emma spoke the question no one wanted to ask. "What if my real parents are out there somewhere, wondering where their daughter is?" Despite her mother's refusal to accept the truth, Emma couldn't let it go. She contacted the DNA testing company. demanding to know if there was a way to trace her biological parents. They informed her that if another family had also taken a test and matched her DNA, she might have relatives in the database. So she logged into her account, and that's when she saw it, a 99.9% match. Not a distant cousin, not a distant ancestor, a biological parent. Emma's hands shook as she clicked on the profile. Name Margaret Calloway. Her breath caught in her throat. Calloway, the same last name as Peter, the man her mother had used as a sperm donor. No, that was impossible. Emma's heartbeat thundered in her ears as she clicked on Margaret's profile. There, in the small circular photo, was a woman with auburn hair and deep brown eyes that looked so eerily familiar. Emma gasped. It was like looking at an older version of herself. Emma hesitated before sending a message. How do you tell someone that you might be their lost daughter? She typed and erased her words over and over. Finally, she settled on. Hi, my name is Emma Hayes. I took a DNA test, and it seems we have a close match. I think you might be my biological mother. She hit send. Seconds felt like hours. Then a reply. It was only 2 words. Call me. Emma's heart pounded as she dialed the number. The line rang once, twice, then a woman's voice. Soft, cautious. Hello. Emma swallowed hard. Margaret. A pause. Yes. Is this Emma? Emma's voice cracked. I think so. A sharp inhale on the other end. Oh my God. Emma squeezed her eyes shut. I don't understand what happened. My parents, Mark and Linda, they had me through IVF. But the DNA test says. Margaret's breath hitched. IVF. Emma frowned. Yes. Another pause. Then, in a broken whisper, Margaret said, I was never supposed to have an IVF baby. Emma's blood ran cold. What? Margaret's voice shook. I went into the hospital for a routine pregnancy checkup. But I had complications. They took me into emergency surgery. Emma's heart pounded. Margaret continued, voice barely above a whisper. They told me my baby, my daughter, was stillborn. Emma's breath caught in her throat. But if you're here, Margaret's voice cracked. Then where is my real baby? Emma couldn't think, couldn't breathe. Her mind reeled. Her parents had undergone IVF. Margaret had gone in for a normal delivery. The hospital had told her that her child had died. But what if they had made a mistake? What if, instead of being stillborn, Margaret's baby had been accidentally switched with another infant? Emma? What if Emma wasn't the only one living someone else's life? A horrifying thought gripped her. Somewhere out there, another woman might have grown up thinking she was Margaret's daughter. Someone else had lived the life Emma was meant to have. And she had lived theirs. Emma sat in her car, staring at the text Margaret had just sent. I need to know the truth. Please, help me find my real daughter. Her whole life had been shattered. Her identity stolen before she was even old enough to understand what she had lost. She had parents who loved her, a family she belonged to. But was it really hers? If she searched for Margaret's real daughter, would she be taking something away from another woman? And if she found her, would they all be better off not knowing? Was truth always a gift? Or was it sometimes a curse?